Ian and I have been working together since June of 2022, and I wanted to add, as you see the graphs, that Ian is not great at reporting his weights, and so while I typically don't like to blame lifters for that, I will pawn that off on him. Most recently, as of April 2024, we saw a tremendous increase in his competition total, and I credit my role in his success to understanding the foundations of programming curriculum, the RTS manual, and the emerging strategies curriculum. Ian's first prep went better than I expected, but not as well as I'd hoped. I had never had a full meet prep before, and I think I just made some rookie mistakes that are inevitable, albeit uncomfortable to experience. I think one of the things that stands out to me the most is I didn't have the confidence as a coach to have him switch stances on deadlift. His conventional never really felt right. When we introduced sumo, it improved his deadlift drastically. I think another pitfall I wish I could have avoided was to have him go as heavy as I did during training. I used to believe in openers 4 weeks out and seconds as our last heavy workout 3 weeks out. I think that ended up peaking Ian too early and had him coming in flat during the meets. Ian and I have prepped for 3 meets together, the second being in October. This was as I was starting to get a stronger grasp on ES as a strategy. Ian again had an amazing prep lined up, but 10 weeks out, his mom's and aunt's battles with cancer started to take a turn for the worse. I told Ian to not worry about the prep and that he had his priorities right, focusing on taking care of his family. But Ian assured me that the gym was going to be an important part of his life. And I knew he was going to say that, but wanted to give him the space too. Ian had another amazing prep. I had some ideas of the structure I wanted to give him, and understood that his training stress would be affected and that we'd have access to very little recovery resources. This was a pretty clinically ES program in the sense that it followed the trail of athlete response and was very EN oriented with lower RPE competition work and mostly focusing on SDEs. It was also much less work than I was used to programming. I tricked myself into thinking that Ian needed to go heavy in his last 3 weeks of training. He had smoked a big squat and bench PR and took a small super sumo PR, and I was ecstatic and felt confident going into that meet. Ian didn't sleep the night before, so I truly don't know the day he would have had. I think as his coach the past few months had finally caught up to him at the worst possible moment, and that day doesn't go well regardless. Ian's mom and aunt had recently died, and he had spent that time trying to organize their estates, funerals, and end-of-life care. In the months leading up to April, specifically his last 2 blocks, I knew the game plan coming in and wanted to come, and it just came down to execution. I repeated the last 2 blocks of training of Ian's last prep with some small tweaks, mostly RPE adjustments, dialing back RPE on competition exercises, and turning up the RPE on SDEs, and most importantly, I left it alone. Fast forward to the meet, and Ian blows past openers and seconds on all 3 lifts. We nail a picture-perfect third attempt for his squat, a third attempt bench that was focused on guaranteeing our priority number 1 goal, which was 9 for 9, as well as our second goal of 1,000 pounds. And then finally, a deadlift PR that had been years in the waiting. I had coached Ian to take off his belt during the prep, and it made all the difference. He was able to hold good extension throughout the deadlift, and his brace and upper back didn't collapse. He blew through a 15-kilogram deadlift PR for his third attempt, went back into the warm-up area, loaded 405, and pulled it for an all-time PR. It was so nice to be there for him in this moment after 2 long years of waiting.